The stars shimmered like diamonds across the endless blackness of space. In the middle of the cosmic ocean floated a structure so vast and strange that it seemed more like a living organism than a building. This was the Galactic Council Hall, the center of power for every intelligent species in the known universe. Its towers glowed with colors that no human eye had names for, and its walls pulsed faintly as if breathing. For centuries, alien races had met here to decide the rules of interstellar life, settling disputes and forming alliances. Today, for the first time, humans were going to walk those hallowed halls. The human delegation approached in their sleek, silver spacecraft. Unlike the polished, massive cruisers of the aliens, the human ship was compact, simple, and surprisingly unassuming. But it carried something the galaxy had not fully grasped yet: human ingenuity, courage, and an unbreakable spirit. The ship glided through the docking lanes of the Council with a quiet hum, unlike the thunderous roars of alien engines. The Council members looked on, curious. Many of them had heard stories of humans, some exaggerated, some dismissive. But no one had ever expected them to appear in person. Inside the hall, the humans stepped out of their ship. Their uniforms were practical, made for mobility and comfort rather than ornamentation. They walked with a quiet confidence, their eyes scanning the alien architecture with wonder and curiosity. The council chamber stretched above them like a sky of crystal. Alien species of every imaginable shape and color floated, hovered, or walked on strange limbs. Some had 6 eyes, others had wings, tentacles, or luminous skin. Their voices, pitched in tones humans could barely hear, whispered among themselves. "The humans have arrived," one tall, blue-skinned alien murmured to another, its voice like a soft wind through chimes. "Are they dangerous?" asked a small, insect-like creature, its mandibles clicking nervously. "Impossible to say," the first alien replied, shaking its head. "No one has ever seen them in council before. But their reputation? Intriguing." The lead human ambassador, Captain Elias Harper, stepped forward. He was an ordinary-looking man, average in height, brown hair, and calm brown eyes, but his presence carried a quiet authority. Behind him, the rest of the delegation moved with careful precision, aware of the many eyes watching them. Elias knew that the galaxy expected humans to be weak, naive, or submissive. They were about to be proven wrong. A council official, a large serpentine alien with scales that shimmered like oil on water, floated forward. "Humans," it hissed, its tongue flicking nervously. "You have come to discuss the terms of the Interstellar Accord. Do you understand the gravity of this council?" Elias nodded. "We understand. We are here to discuss, but also to ensure our independence and our values are respected." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Values? Independence? These were concepts alien races had long since abandoned in favor of efficiency, hierarchy, or conquest. Humans, with their insistence on free will, were a new variable the council had not prepared for. The council hall itself seemed alive. Holographic projections of distant star systems floated above the main floor, showing trade routes, inhabited planets, and areas of conflict. Some council members gestured at these projections, discussing them in alien languages. Elias glanced at the display, noticing a cluster of planets marked as human territory. Despite being technologically behind many of these species, humans had grown fast, adapted, and survived against impossible odds. The first session began. Aliens with multiple limbs raised their appendages to speak, projecting their voices telepathically or through devices that translated their clicks and whistles into a language humans could understand. Humans listened carefully, nodding and taking notes. Every word, every gesture mattered. This was not just a negotiation, it was a test. As the council began to present the proposed treaty, the humans realized the expectations. The treaty would require them to cede control over trade routes, share advanced technology, and follow council regulations on planetary management. For most species this was normal, but for humans it was unthinkable. Humanity had fought too hard to survive, to innovate, and to keep its independence. The humans looked at one another. The decision they were about to make would shock the galaxy. The chamber fell silent when a council elder, a massive being with crystalline limbs, turned its many eyes toward the humans. "Do you accept the terms of the accord?" it asked, its voice echoing like thunder across the hall. Elias inhaled deeply. He could feel the weight of centuries of human history pressing on his shoulders. The pioneers, the explorers, the rebels, the inventors. And he thought of Earth, small and fragile but full of life, creativity, and determination. With calm eyes he replied, "We cannot accept these terms. Humanity will not give up its freedom." A gasp went through the hall. Some aliens recoiled. Others whispered furiously among themselves. Impossible, hissed the serpentine official. No species has ever refused the council. Elias's voice remained steady. Humanity believes in cooperation, yes. But not at the cost of independence. We will work with the galaxy, but on terms that honor both our values and yours. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council experienced shock and awe simultaneously. They had expected obedience. They had expected compromise. They had not expected courage, principle, and intelligence from a species so young in interstellar politics. As the humans stood tall, the council realized something important. These were no ordinary beings. They were unpredictable, resilient, and creative, qualities that could not be measured by power or numbers alone. And in that moment, the galaxy began to understand that humans were a force unlike any other. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the drama inside the council hall. But soon, every light in the galaxy would reflect the ripple humans had created, one that would change interstellar politics forever. The first step had been taken. Humans had arrived. And the Galactic Council would never forget it. The council chamber buzzed with whispers. Aliens with tentacles, wings, and multiple eyes leaned toward one another, their voices vibrating with disbelief. Never in the history of the Galactic Council had a species refused a treaty so calmly, so confidently. The humans stood at the center of the chamber, their faces serene, unshaken by the collective scrutiny. Captain Elias Harper, the human ambassador, looked around the hall. He saw doubt, fear, and curiosity reflected in alien eyes. But he also saw opportunity. Humanity had always thrived in the impossible. This moment, tense as it was another challenge to overcome. A council member with translucent skin floated forward. Its voice was a melodious hum, resonating through the chamber. Humans, your refusal is unprecedented. Do you understand the consequences? Every species has followed the accord. Compliance ensures survival. Resistance leads to isolation. Elias did not hesitate. We understand, he said firmly. But survival is not the only measure of a species. Humanity values freedom, creativity, and self-determination. We will not compromise these for convenience. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Some alien delegates leaned back in shock. Others leaned forward, intrigued. Whispers traveled across the room like a gentle wind. They are different. They are not like us. A serpentine delegate, its scales reflecting faint light, hissed angrily, "This is foolishness. You cannot defy the council and expect to be accepted as equals." Elias met its gaze steadily. We do not seek to dominate or destroy. We seek respect. We are willing to cooperate, but only as partners, not subjects. The aliens could not hide their astonishment. The humans were not afraid. They did not bend. They did not plead. They simply stood, calm and resolute. This was a boldness the council had never seen. An elder with crystalline limbs spoke next. Its voice echoed like rolling thunder. Boldness is one thing. Recklessness is another. Do you comprehend the weight of your choice? Elias nodded. Yes. And we are prepared. Humans have faced challenges before. On our home planet, we survived catastrophes, wars, and even extinction-level events. We adapt, learn, and rise stronger each time. This is no different. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Aliens who prided themselves on logic and strategy found themselves struggling to understand these humans. Here was a species that spoke of principles above survival, of courage above fear. A species that valued freedom more than convenience. One of the younger council members, an insectoid with 6 eyes and delicate wings, tilted its head. But why? Why risk everything for abstract values? Survival is practical. Obedience is safe. Elias's gaze softened. Because survival without freedom is not truly living. Humans do not fear hardship. We embrace challenges. We grow stronger through adversity. To us, compromise that betrays our core values is worse than any external threat. The room quieted. Even the most skeptical delegates felt a strange mixture of frustration and admiration. The humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. They did not act out of fear or greed. They acted out of conviction. A holographic display in the center of the chamber shifted, showing the human homeworld and the history of human achievements. Landing on distant planets, inventing technologies far beyond what some council members had imagined, uniting despite diversity and thriving against impossible odds. Was proof. Humans were more than a simple, primitive species. They were unpredictable, resilient, and capable of greatness. Your history is remarkable, said a winged delegate, its feathers quivering. But courage alone does not ensure survival in the galaxy. How will you sustain yourselves if the Council opposes you? Elias smiled faintly. We do not seek to oppose. We seek cooperation. But we will never abandon our principles. Humanity has survived because we do not rely on others to dictate our path. We rely on our creativity, our intelligence, and our unity. The Council murmured again, this time with a hint of respect. Some whispered, perhaps we have underestimated them. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The humans' refusal was not rebellion. It was a demonstration of strength that defied conventional logic. Then Elias took another step forward. We offer an alternative. Let us engage in dialogue, not dictated terms. Let us work together to create agreements that respect all species equally. Coercion and control are not the path to harmony. Respect and understanding are. The chamber fell silent. This was unprecedented. Aliens were used to orders and ultimatums. Humans proposed partnership on equal terms, a concept some species could not even imagine. A serpentine official hissed, frustration clear in its tone. You are naive. The galaxy does not operate on ideals. Power dictates outcomes. Elias's eyes held firm. Perhaps. But power alone cannot ensure survival. Humans have proven that intelligence, adaptability, and moral courage can achieve what brute force cannot. We do not underestimate the Council, but we will not be ruled by it. For a moment, the Council hesitated. The aliens had expected fear, groveling, or compromise. Instead, they found courage and wisdom. Humans were not threatening, they were enlightening. They challenged old assumptions and forced the Council to rethink its ideas about strength, leadership, and cooperation. The chamber seemed to breathe with tension. The humans stood in quiet defiance, unyielding yet peaceful. They had not raised their voices. They had not acted aggressively. They had simply refused to surrender their values. In that moment, the Council realized something extraordinary. Humans were not merely participants in galactic politics. They were a force that could change it. Their unexpected boldness was a revelation, a spark that hinted at a future the Council could not yet predict. As the session ended, whispers filled the chamber. Delegates discussed in hushed tones. Who are these humans? How can a species so young be so unshakable? Some felt admiration. Some felt fear. But all knew one thing: humanity had arrived and it had made an impact no alien would ever forget. Outside the chamber, the stars shone as if in quiet approval. Humanity had taken its first step into the greater galaxy, not as followers, not as subjects, but as equals ready to define its own destiny. And the Council would have to reckon with it. The Council chamber had never been so silent. Every delegate, from the smallest insectoid to the massive crystalline elder, stared at the humans in disbelief. Captain Elias Harper and his delegation had done what no species before had dared. They had refused the Council's terms. Yet they had done it with calm confidence, not arrogance, not fear. The serpentine official floated forward again, its eyes narrowing. You have defied the Galactic Council, it hissed. Do you not understand the magnitude of your actions? No species has ever done this. Elias met its gaze steadily. We understand, he said. But defiance is not rebellion. We do not act out of disrespect. We act out of principle. Humanity values freedom, fairness, and creativity above blind obedience. We will not compromise these values. A ripple of murmurs swept across the chamber. Some delegates whispered to their neighbors, they are insane, or remarkable. The Council had always believed that power, technology, and tradition dictated the galaxy. Humans challenged that belief simply by standing firm in their convictions. The elder with crystalline limbs stepped forward, its voice echoing through the chamber like distant thunder. Boldness is one thing, it said. But your actions are unprecedented. Your species risks isolation, retaliation, and loss of resources. How can you expect to survive against such odds? Elias's eyes gleamed with determination. Survival is important, yes. But survival at the cost of our values is meaningless. Humans have faced impossible challenges on our homeworld. We adapt. We innovate. We overcome. That is how we survive. And we intend to continue doing so on our terms. For the first time in the Council's history, the delegates were forced to reconsider their assumptions. They had always measured strength by military power, technology, and influence. Now they were confronted by a species whose strength lay in its ingenuity, courage, and moral conviction. A winged delegate fluttered nervously, its feathers quivering. But your species is so young. You lack the experience, the alliances, the networks we have built over millennia. How can you face the council without fear? Elias smiled faintly. We may be young, but youth brings perspective. Experience can create rigidity. Humanity thrives on flexibility, creativity, and collaboration. We do not see obstacles as walls, we see them as opportunities. We have survived against threats far greater than the council. We will survive again because we adapt and we do not yield our principles. A low hum filled the chamber as whispers spread among the delegates. The council members could feel it, a shift in perception. The humans were not just being stubborn. They were teaching a lesson in courage and independence. Some felt frustration. Some felt admiration. But all felt a new, undeniable respect. The serpentine official hissed, exasperated. You are reckless. You underestimate the complexity of galactic politics. Your defiance could trigger conflict with multiple species. Elias's voice remained steady. We understand the risks, but we do not act recklessly. Humans value collaboration, discussion, and compromise, but only when respect is mutual. Coercion and domination are not part of our path. We offer cooperation, yes, but never submission. The crystalline elder tilted its head. Your words, they carry weight. Perhaps we have underestimated you. Perhaps we have misunderstood what strength truly is. Even the younger delegates began to murmur. They are not naive, one said. They are fearless. They think differently. They act differently. And yet, they are wise. The humans remained calm, their posture relaxed but confident. They understood the council's astonishment. It was not anger they had inspired, nor fear. It was bewilderment, the strange sensation of encountering a species that did not fit any of their preconceived notions. 4 hours, the council debated in quiet voices, consulting their historical records and projections. Never before had a species rejected the accord outright. Never before had a species refused to bow to centuries of tradition. Yet here were the humans, standing tall, unyielding but peaceful, forcing the council to rethink its ideas of power and control. In the meantime, Captain Harper addressed his delegation quietly. Remember, he said, they expected fear. They expected compromise. They did not expect principle. We show them strength not through weapons but through values and reason. That is humanity's greatest power. The chamber continued to buzz with whispers and speculation. Alien delegates who had long dismissed humans as primitive or insignificant now felt a mix of caution and intrigue. Some even began to respect the humans' courage. Others feared it. But all understood that the humans' boldness had changed the dynamics of the council forever. Finally, the elder with crystalline limbs floated closer to Elias. Your species is extraordinary. Never have we witnessed such calm defiance. You have challenged our expectations, and in doing so you have earned attention if not yet trust. Tell us, what is your ultimate goal? Elias straightened. Our goal is simple: cooperation, respect, and partnership on equal terms. We do not seek domination, conquest, or submission. We seek understanding. Humanity believes that the galaxy is stronger when every species retains its freedom and contributes its unique strengths. That is our path. The council fell silent once again. Some delegates were visibly shaken. Others seemed thoughtful, almost contemplative. Humans had not acted with aggression, yet they had forced the council to reconsider its assumptions, its strategies, and its prejudices. The serpentine official finally hissed, not with anger this time, but with a hint of admiration. Perhaps we have judged humans too quickly. Elias nodded. Perhaps. But judgment without understanding is a mistake the council must avoid. Humanity stands ready to cooperate, but only as equals. The chamber remained tense, but a quiet recognition had settled over the council. Humans were no ordinary species. They were brave, creative, and unyielding in principle. And in that moment, the galaxy began to see them differently, not as a minor species to be guided or controlled, but as a new force with the potential to change the rules of interstellar relations. Outside, the stars gleamed across the void, indifferent yet witnessing the quiet revolution taking place inside the council chamber. Humans had stunned the council. Their unexpected boldness had shaken centuries of tradition, challenged every assumption, and planted the seeds of a new era in galactic diplomacy. And as the humans prepared to face the next challenge, the council realized something profound. They were no longer dealing with ordinary beings. They were dealing with humans, and humans played by their own rules. The council had never faced a situation like this. Humans had refused the accord, yet they had done so with calm confidence, clarity, and courage. Now, whispers spread among the delegates. We must see what they are truly capable of. The elder with crystalline limbs spoke again. If humans wish to negotiate on equal terms, they must first demonstrate their abilities. We will test your ingenuity, your strategy, and your adaptability. Only then will we consider your proposals seriously. Captain Elias Harper nodded. We accept your challenge. Humanity thrives on solving problems. We are ready. A holographic platform emerged at the center of the chamber. It displayed a series of alien constructs, complex mechanisms, and strange interstellar maps. The first test appeared, a puzzle involving shifting energy nodes that controlled gravity in a miniature model of a star system. The aliens watched eagerly. No species has ever completed this puzzle in less than a standard galactic cycle, whispered a winged delegate. It is said to be impossible. Elias studied the puzzle carefully. He motioned to his team. Work together. Think creatively. There is always a solution. Hours passed. The council members leaned forward, eyes wide, as humans examined each node, tested every configuration, and worked with precision, intuition, and logic. Slowly they began to move the nodes into correct alignment. The gravity field stabilized and the miniature star system functioned perfectly. A murmur ran through the council chamber. They've done it, whispered an insectoid delegate. Impossible, done. Elias didn't celebrate. He knew the council had more tests in store. The second challenge appeared, a simulation of a volatile diplomatic conflict between multiple alien species. Humans had to resolve disputes without escalating tensions. The council expected them to fail. Strategy simulations had defeated the most experienced alien diplomats. But humans approached the problem differently. They listened carefully, analyzed motivations, and proposed solutions that considered every perspective. They did not rely solely on brute force or intimidation. Instead, they appealed to logic, fairness, and mutual benefit. Within hours, the simulation ended successfully. Every species in the virtual conflict was satisfied, and peace was restored. The aliens gasped. Humans had solved a problem that had stumped generations of council diplomats. Remarkable, said a crystalline elder softly. They think in ways we have not imagined. The third test appeared, a technological challenge. Humans were handed alien devices far beyond their understanding. Their task, to repair and optimize them. The council expected fumbling, mistakes, and failure. But the humans worked methodically. They observed patterns, applied principles, and innovated solutions. Within the council's allotted time, the devices not only functioned, they exceeded their original capabilities. The chamber erupted in murmurs of disbelief. They've not just repaired it, they've improved it, whispered a winged delegate. How is this possible? Elias's team looked calm but focused. They were proving a point. Human creativity and adaptability were their greatest strengths. No one else in the galaxy had approached the challenges with such combination of logic, intuition, and morality. Finally, the council unveiled the ultimate test, a moral dilemma. A simulation of a galactic disaster was presented. Humans had to decide how to save countless lives while balancing resources, risks, and ethical considerations. Every other species had historically chosen cold efficiency over ethics. Failure was almost certain if the council expected humans to follow that pattern. But humans approached the dilemma differently. They considered the value of each life, the long-term consequences of every decision, and creative solutions to minimize loss while maximizing outcomes. Their choices were not just logical, they were humane. The council watched in stunned silence as the simulation concluded. Humans had saved the majority of lives without causing harm to others unnecessarily. They had solved what the council considered unsolvable. Finally, the elder with crystalline limbs floated forward. We have underestimated your species, it said, its voice a mixture of awe and respect. Never have we witnessed such ingenuity, creativity, and moral courage. You have accomplished what we believed impossible. How have you achieved this? Elias stepped forward calmly. We see problems as opportunities, not obstacles. We value collaboration, creativity, and moral responsibility. These are not weaknesses, they are strengths. Humanity adapts, learns, and overcomes challenges in ways that are not always predictable, but always effective. The chamber was silent. The council members could not deny the evidence. The humans had completed every challenge not just with skill, but with vision and ingenuity that surpassed any other species. For the first time, aliens understood something fundamental. Humans were extraordinary not because of technology or size, but because of their mind, their courage, and their principles. Even the skeptics were forced to reconsider. A serpentine official hissed softly, almost grudgingly, Perhaps humans are unlike any species we have ever encountered. Perhaps, we must respect them. The younger delegates nodded in agreement. They are fearless, and clever, and principled. I cannot believe it. Elias looked around the chamber, seeing the mixture of shock, admiration, and disbelief in every alien eye. Humanity had done more than survive. They had earned respect without demanding it, without threats, without force. They had proven that true strength lay in intelligence, courage, and integrity. The tests were complete, but the consequences were just beginning. The Council would have to face the truth. Humans could not be underestimated. They were not a primitive species to be guided or controlled. They were innovators, problem solvers, and a force that could change the galaxy itself. Elias turned to his team. Remember, he said quietly, we have shown them what humans can do. Now we wait and see if they can accept it. Our path is not to dominate, but to inspire respect. That is our greatest weapon. The chamber buzzed with whispered conversations. The Council could no longer treat humans as novices. They had faced the impossible challenges of the Council and emerged victorious in intellect, strategy, and morality. And in that moment, the Galactic Council realized that humans were no ordinary species. They were unpredictable, fearless, and extraordinary in ways the galaxy had never seen before. The tests were over. The results were clear. Humans had not just survived, they had redefined what it meant to be powerful, clever, and honorable in the galaxy. Outside the chamber, stars twinkled, distant but witnessing the first real signs of humanity's rise in interstellar society. The Council's astonishment was complete. Humans had passed the tests, but they had also passed a far greater one, the test of respect and recognition. And in the quiet of space, a single truth echoed throughout the chamber. Human ingenuity was a force the galaxy could not ignore. The Council chamber was still buzzing with astonishment. Delegates whispered to one another, their voices full of disbelief and awe. Humans had completed every test the Council had devised. Puzzles, simulations, technology challenges, and moral dilemmas, each time surpassing expectations. What had begun as a bold act of defiance had transformed into something far more powerful. Humans were earning respect. Captain Elias Harper stood at the center, his calm presence contrasting with the excitement swirling around the chamber. He did not boast. He did not gloat. Humans had never relied on arrogance to make a point. Instead, they relied on capability, creativity, and moral clarity, and that had become their greatest statement. A crystalline elder floated closer, its many eyes shimmering like polished gemstones. Humans, it said, voice echoing like distant thunder, your performance today has been remarkable. Never have we seen such a combination of intelligence, adaptability, and principle. You have earned our attention, if not our full trust. Elias nodded respectfully. We do not seek trust through coercion or fear. We seek cooperation through understanding and mutual respect. Humanity values both our strengths and the strengths of others. We believe in alliances built on equality, not subjugation. Murmurs spread throughout the chamber. Many delegates, even those who had been skeptical or dismissive, began to lean forward, listening intently. The younger delegates exchanged glances. They are different, one said quietly. Stronger than anyone expected. Smarter. Even principled. We may have misjudged them. The serpentine official hissed, its tone softer now, almost thoughtful. They are unpredictable and effective. Perhaps, there is much we can learn from them. The humans' approach had a subtle but profound effect. They had not used weapons, intimidation, or threats. They had relied on mind, skill, and moral courage. And in doing so, they had reminded the Council of something it had forgotten over centuries. True strength is not only measured in power or technology, but in ingenuity, ethics, and resilience. Even the winged delegates, who had always valued efficiency over empathy, began nodding slowly. They think differently. They act differently. And yet, it works. It always works, one whispered. News of the humans' accomplishments spread quickly through the Council's communication network. Holographic broadcasts displayed humans completing each test with calm precision, solving problems that had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds. Alien species outside the chamber began to take notice. Whispers of admiration, curiosity, and even awe spread from planet to planet. This is extraordinary, said a diplomat from a distant system. We have underestimated humans. They are not primitive. They are capable beyond imagination. The Council members realized that the humans' defiance had not been an act of rebellion, but a demonstration of what they could achieve when given freedom. Where other species had relied on tradition, hierarchy, or fear, humans had relied on creativity, intelligence, and collaboration. They had solved impossible problems and in doing so, earned respect from even the most skeptical of alien delegates. The crystalline elder addressed the humans again. You have proven yourselves capable, intelligent, and principled. But there is more to respect than skill. There is also character. And in every test, you have displayed character beyond expectation. You have not only completed challenges, you have taught us what it means to think, to innovate, and to act with integrity. Elias looked around the chamber, acknowledging the council members. Thank you. Humanity has always believed in rising to challenges, in finding solutions that honor both logic and ethics. We do not seek to dominate. We seek to build a galaxy where every species can thrive without compromise of values. That is our principle. That is our strength. For the first time, even the most traditional council members felt a sense of admiration for the humans. They were no longer a species to be guided or ignored. They were equals, innovators, and potential leaders in the galaxy. A younger insectoid delegate spoke, its multiple eyes wide with wonder. We have always measured power in numbers and technology. But humans, they have shown us that strength comes from cleverness, creativity, and moral courage. Perhaps we have been blind. The council began to debate among themselves, not about whether humans should be accepted, they could not be ignored, but about how to integrate this new force into galactic politics. Delegates who had once dismissed humans now sought to understand them, learn from them, and even ally with them. Outside the council chamber, news traveled faster than light. Across systems, civilizations whispered of the humans who had stood firm, solved the impossible, and earned the respect of the galaxy's greatest powers. Human ingenuity and moral courage became a symbol, a reminder that even a small species could change the course of galactic history. The serpentine official, who had once hissed in anger, floated close to Elias. Humans, it said quietly, you have surprised us all. You have not only passed our tests, you have changed how we think about strength, intelligence, and morality. Your species is remarkable. Elias nodded calmly. We are not remarkable because of what we have done today. We are remarkable because of what humanity always strives to be, curious, courageous, and principled. We do not seek admiration. We seek understanding. That is how we achieve progress. The council remained silent, contemplating his words. Even centuries of tradition, experience, and power could not dismiss the humans' achievements. They had proved that ingenuity, creativity, and integrity could surpass brute force and rigid logic. The chamber seemed to hum with a quiet recognition. Humans were no longer simply defiant newcomers, they were respected participants in galactic politics, capable of shaping the future of the galaxy itself. And as Captain Harper looked at the council, he knew this was only the beginning. The respect humans had earned today would open doors, spark alliances, and inspire civilizations across the stars. They had shown the galaxy a truth that could not be denied. Humans were extraordinary not because of size or technology, but because of their courage, creativity, and heart. For the first time, the council felt a sense of awe. They had witnessed something rare, something powerful, something truly remarkable. Humanity had earned respect, not by force, but by proving what it meant to be strong, wise, and principled. And in that moment, the galaxy began to see humans in a new light, not as a minor species to guide, not as a primitive species to dismiss, but as a force that could inspire, challenge, and lead. The council chamber had quieted to an unusual hush. The humans had completed every test, shown ingenuity, courage, and moral clarity, and earned the reluctant respect of even the most skeptical delegates. Yet the atmosphere remained tense. The Galactic Council was still a body built on tradition, hierarchy, and control. Even admiration did not erase centuries of protocol and expectation. Captain Elias Harper stepped forward once more, flanked by the human delegation. Their posture remained calm, confident, and unthreatening. The council elders, alien officials with crystalline limbs, wings, or multiple eyes, regarded them with a mixture of curiosity, caution, and intrigue. The elder with crystalline limbs spoke first. Humans, your abilities and principles are undeniable. Yet the council must ask, are you prepared to negotiate to follow the customs of interstellar diplomacy? Elias met its gaze steadily. We are prepared, he said. But humanity negotiates differently. We do not accept terms imposed on us. We do not compromise our principles. We seek agreements that are fair and respectful to all parties. That is our way. A murmur spread across the chamber. For millennia, the council had dictated terms and expected compliance. No species had ever refused or challenged their authority so openly. Aliens whispered to one another, some with excitement, some with unease. "This is unprecedented. How do we proceed?" The serpentine official hissed softly. "They are bold, perhaps too bold. But we cannot ignore their success in your tests, Harper. They have proven themselves, in every way. What is your proposal?" Elias stepped forward. "We propose cooperation, not submission. We propose dialogue, not dominance. Humanity believes that lasting alliances are built on mutual respect, not fear or coercion. If the Council wishes to create peace and stability in the galaxy, it must value every species equally, including ours." The chamber fell silent. This was a lesson the Council had rarely, if ever, received. Most species followed orders or complied with treaties out of fear or obligation. Humans, however, posed a moral challenge. They demanded equality, fairness, and recognition. And they did so without aggression. A winged delegate spoke carefully. "But, how can the galaxy operate if every species insists on such independence? Orders, rules, structure, these are what maintain order." Elias smiled faintly. "Structure is important. Rules are important. But rigid compliance without understanding breeds stagnation and resentment. True strength in the galaxy comes from cooperation, creativity, and respect for each species' values. Humanity has proven it can solve impossible problems, innovate beyond expectation, and act with integrity. Trust, not fear, ensures lasting alliances." The Council members exchanged uneasy glances. Some felt challenged. Some felt enlightened. For centuries, they had measured strength in terms of control, tradition, and authority. Humans had shown them a new way to see power, one rooted in reason, courage, and moral clarity rather than domination. The elder with crystalline limbs spoke again. "Your words are bold. You have demonstrated skill, ingenuity, and ethics beyond expectation. But do you truly believe the Council will accept your approach? Many species are not accustomed to such equality." Elias met its gaze unwaveringly. "We do not expect blind acceptance. But we believe in principles that endure: fairness, respect, and collaboration. Humans do not act to dominate or control. We act to create outcomes that honor all parties. That is not weakness. That is strength." The chamber remained tense, but the aliens could feel a subtle shift. Where they had expected argument, they found reason. Where they had expected submission, they found principle. Humans had not just passed the Council's tests, they had taught a lesson. A younger insectoid delegate spoke hesitantly. "Perhaps, we have relied too much on rules and authority. Perhaps true order comes from respect and understanding, not fear." Elias nodded. "Exactly. We seek not to challenge the Council's authority out of arrogance, but to demonstrate that cooperation built on respect is stronger and more enduring than compliance built on fear. This is what humanity can offer the galaxy." For the first time, murmurs of agreement began to spread. Even the serpentine official, who had hissed sharply at the humans before, now inclined its head thoughtfully. "You may be right. Perhaps we have underestimated the value of principle alongside power." Elias's voice remained calm. "We do not ask for admiration. We ask for recognition. Humanity will cooperate, innovate, and contribute, but we will never abandon our values. That is our lesson to the Council. Strength comes from courage, intelligence, and integrity, not fear or control." The chamber fell into silence again, but this silence was different. It was no longer tension born of fear or hostility. It was quiet reflection. Humans had challenged the Council not with weapons, not with threats, not with arrogance, but with reason, principle, and undeniable capability. Finally, the elder with crystalline limbs floated forward, its eyes reflecting light from distant stars. "Humans, you have done more than survive the Council's tests. You have taught us something rare, that negotiation can be a tool for fairness, not submission, that courage can coexist with respect, that strength is measured not only in power but in principle. You have earned not just attention but a new perspective." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you. Humanity has always believed that cooperation based on respect creates stronger, lasting outcomes. We have demonstrated our ability to solve problems, innovate, and act ethically. We seek partnerships that honor these principles, and in doing so, we hope to inspire the galaxy to a better future." The chamber seemed to hum with quiet awe. Aliens whispered among themselves, rethinking assumptions they had held for centuries. Humans had not only earned respect, they had redefined what it meant to be strong and honorable in the galaxy. Outside the chamber, stars twinkled like witnesses to a subtle but profound revolution. Humans had entered a body of interstellar power, refused submission, passed every challenge, and turned a tense negotiation into a lesson the Council would never forget. And as Captain Harper and his delegation prepared to leave the chamber for the day, one truth was clear to every Council member: humans were not ordinary. They were extraordinary, and they had just taught the galaxy a lesson in courage, intelligence, and respect. The Council would never be the same again. The Council chamber had quieted to an unusual hush. The humans had completed every test, shown ingenuity, courage, and moral clarity, and earned the reluctant respect of even the most skeptical delegates. Yet the atmosphere remained tense. The Galactic Council was still a body built on tradition, hierarchy, and control. Even admiration did not erase centuries of protocol and expectation. Captain Elias Harper stepped forward once more, flanked by the human delegation. Their posture remained calm, confident, and unthreatening. The Council elders, alien officials with crystalline limbs, wings, or multiple eyes, regarded them with a mixture of curiosity, caution, and intrigue. The elder with crystalline limbs spoke first. "Humans, your abilities and principles are undeniable. Yet the Council must ask, are you prepared to negotiate to follow the customs of interstellar diplomacy?" Elias met its gaze steadily. "We are prepared," he said. "But humanity negotiates differently. We do not accept terms imposed on us. We do not compromise our principles. We seek agreements that are fair and respectful to all parties. That is our way." A murmur spread across the chamber. For millennia, the Council had dictated terms and expected compliance. No species had ever refused or challenged their authority so openly. Aliens whispered to one another, some with excitement, some with unease. "This is unprecedented. How do we proceed?" The Serpentine official hissed softly. "They are bold, perhaps too bold. But we cannot ignore their success in your tests, Harper. They have proven themselves, in every way. What is your proposal?" Elias stepped forward. "We propose cooperation, not submission. We propose dialogue, not dominance. Humanity believes that lasting alliances are built on mutual respect, not fear or coercion. If the Council wishes to create peace and stability in the galaxy, it must value every species equally, including ours." The chamber fell silent. This was a lesson the Council had rarely, if ever, received. Most species followed orders or complied with treaties out of fear or obligation. Humans, however, posed a moral challenge. They demanded equality, fairness, and recognition. And they did so without aggression. A winged delegate spoke carefully. "But, how can the galaxy operate if every species insists on such independence? Orders, rules, structure, these are what maintain order." Elias smiled faintly. "Structure is important. Rules are important. But rigid compliance without understanding breeds stagnation and resentment. True strength in the galaxy comes from cooperation, creativity, and respect for each species' values. Humanity has proven it can solve impossible problems, innovate beyond expectation, and act with integrity. Trust, not fear, ensures lasting alliances." The Council members exchanged uneasy glances. Some felt challenged. Some felt enlightened. For centuries, they had measured strength in terms of control, tradition, and authority. Humans had shown them a new way to see power, one rooted in reason, courage, and moral clarity rather than domination. The elder with crystalline limbs spoke again. "Your words are bold. You have demonstrated skill, ingenuity, and ethics beyond expectation. But do you truly believe the Council will accept your approach? Many species are not accustomed to such equality." Elias met its gaze unwaveringly. "We do not expect blind acceptance. But we believe in principles that endure: fairness, respect, and collaboration. Humans do not act to dominate or control. We act to create outcomes that honor all parties. That is not weakness. That is strength." The chamber remained tense, but the aliens could feel a subtle shift. Where they had expected argument, they found reason. Where they had expected submission, they found principle. Humans had not just passed the Council's tests, they had taught a lesson. A younger insectoid delegate spoke hesitantly. "Perhaps, we have relied too much on rules and authority. Perhaps true order comes from respect and understanding, not fear." Elias nodded. "Exactly. We seek not to challenge the Council's authority out of arrogance, but to demonstrate that cooperation built on respect is stronger and more enduring than compliance built on fear. This is what humanity can offer the galaxy." For the first time, murmurs of agreement began to spread. Even the Serpentine official, who had hissed sharply at the humans before, now inclined its head thoughtfully. "You may be right. Perhaps we have underestimated the value of principle alongside power. Elias's voice remained calm. We do not ask for admiration. We ask for recognition. Humanity will cooperate, innovate, and contribute, but we will never abandon our values. That is our lesson to the Council. Strength comes from courage, intelligence, and integrity, not fear or control. The chamber fell into silence again, but this silence was different. It was no longer tension born of fear or hostility. It was quiet reflection. Humans had challenged the Council not with weapons, not with threats, not with arrogance, but with reason, principle, and undeniable capability. Finally, the elder with crystalline limbs floated forward, its eyes reflecting light from distant stars. Humans, you have done more than survive the Council's tests. You have taught us something rare, that negotiation can be a tool for fairness, not submission, that courage can coexist with respect, that strength is measured not only in power but in principle. You have earned not just attention but a new perspective. Elias bowed slightly. Thank you. Humanity has always believed that cooperation based on respect creates stronger, lasting outcomes. We have demonstrated our ability to solve problems, innovate, and act ethically. We seek partnerships that honor these principles, and in doing so, we hope to inspire the galaxy to a better future. The chamber seemed to hum with quiet awe. Aliens whispered among themselves, rethinking assumptions they had held for centuries. Humans had not only earned respect, they had redefined what it meant to be strong and honorable in the galaxy. Outside the chamber, stars twinkled like witnesses to a subtle but profound revolution. Humans had entered a body of interstellar power, refused submission, passed every challenge, and turned a tense negotiation into a lesson the Council would never forget. And as Captain Harper and his delegation prepared to leave the chamber for the day, one truth was clear to every Council member: humans were not ordinary. They were extraordinary, and they had just taught the galaxy a lesson in courage, intelligence, and respect. The Council would never be the same again.